Hello, in this lecture we will take a look at how to install the QuickBooks 2014 software. So the first thing we want to do for this class is to get this book. This book will not be an ebook, it will be a hard copy book. Reason being is that it includes software at the back of the book. The book will look like this. It'll be a paperback book. At the back of the book you'll see two CDs. The CD that we want first is the one that will install the software. It'll look like this, being a plastic folder, generally have a yellow tab on it. We are currently looking at a 2013 version because that's what I have here, but you're going to be using 2014. Make sure to use 2014. It is possible to use later versions such as 2015, but I highly recommend using 2014 anyways because that will make it so that the problems look as similar as possible, even though the data can be updated to a newer version. We cannot use an older version, so we will not be able to open the data files into a older software such as 2013 or before. Now the first problem people may have is that they say, well, I don't have a DVD drive. Some computers may not have a DVD drive. That is okay. We will need to access a DVD drive and transfer the installation in some way, either by putting it on a USB drive or by maybe even emailing it to yourself. I recommend putting it on a different drive such as a USB drive, an external hard drive, and then transporting it to your computer. I'll show you how to do that at the end of this. If that is the case for you, then the school, your local campus, would probably be the best place to go to use their DVD drive and put this information into a thumb drive or a USB drive, an external hard drive of some kind, and or emailing it to yourself so that we can get this process going. So once you insert this disk into your DVD drive, it generally has an automatic start feature and should just automatically install on itself, and it should be very straightforward. But if it does not automatically install on itself, then we're going to locate that DVD drive. So if you go down to the Explorer window here, or if you right click on here and go to Explore, and we're looking for our drives now. So I'm looking for the DVD drive, going into the DVD drive, and the icon that we want is the setup for the software, which will look something like this. Again, it might look a little bit different because I'm using an example version. I already have 2014 on this machine, so this is an example of the 2013, but the process will be much the same. Once we've run this, it should be an automatic run process and not have a problem getting the information in. You will need to have to access these two codes. So these two codes on the yellow sticker will then be needed in the installation process. Once you install the software, it is temporary, meaning you'll have the software for, I think, about 120 days is what it runs for, which is more than enough time for this class. But you will have to register it, and it may not go through the registration process here. So the next time you go in, it might say you need to register within 30 days. So we need to register within 30 days, but once that is done, you'll have the software for 120 days. In order to register, you will need to use an email address, and you could use the student email address in order to do that. Setup process will look something like this. We'll have the next window here. When we install the setup, we need to accept the terms like so, and then we're going to use the default express. We need to enter the license and product number, and then it should go through this process. Once the software is installed, you'll have an icon on your desktop that will look like this. This is going to be a shortcut icon indicated by this arrow here, so it's actually going to be obviously under your program's setting, but we set the desktop option to have a desktop icon here. And remember, you want the 2014 version. Once you open this up, then it will prompt you to start a new company, and when we go into it, we're just going to basically open an existing company. And so it will be similar to using Word or other types of programs in that the Word program is different than the files. So once we have the program in there, then we need to restore a file to it, just as we would do if we were to open a Word document in the program Word. Now, if you do not have a DVD drive on your computer, we could go to the campus and put this installation software from the DVD drive to another drive, or maybe even email it to yourself. I highly recommend putting it onto an external hard drive though, and the types of external hard drives also, if to have an external hard drive is a very good idea, because then you can, especially if you're going to go from different machines, because you can have the information on the external hard drive and then have your data files on different machines. So these are just some examples of some external hard drives. This is a large external hard drive, so it's like you can get any size of these. It usually has a USB port. This one has 2 terabytes, so that would be a little bit more expensive to have. It just depends on how much data you want. If you were to have a large USB drive or external hard drive such as this, you can save a lot of data on it. And so if you have a lot of pictures or a lot of large data files, it is very nice to have an external hard drive. You can get external hard drives as cheap as around $5 for a few gigabytes of drive, and they can be as small as a little thumb drive, they call them, I guess, here, a USB drive. That would be sufficient in order to put a lot of your data on for most of your classes. This class will require a little bit more data because we will be using QuickBooks files, which are larger files, but just a few gigabytes will be enough for the installation process. And so this would be good to have for that, and it can be big enough to store much of your data for many of your classes. So I would look into doing that. You can also try to email it to yourself, but sometimes the email will block. Outlook often will block setup files because they think they could be potentially risky to contain a virus. So that's why I recommend if you have the machine, bring it into the to the school and see if they can help you out with it, and or use an external hard drive, and then you could also try emailing it to yourself. The way to do that is once you get to a machine that has the DVD drive, install the DVD drive. If it tries to run, then stop the running process because we're not trying to run the software on that machine. What we want to do then is open up Explorer, something like this. There's our process here. I'm going to take this and drag it to this side, and then I open up another window, another Explorer type window. I can right click and open another Explorer, and this time I want to look for the DVD drive. So when we put our drive into the computer, it'll show up as a different drive, and that drive, in this case, I have an iDrive here, and then I've got a bunch of stuff on it, but I'd make a new folder in here and call it something like QuickBooks install, something like that, or setup. And then if we open this folder, then we can just take all of this information and just drag it in there. I believe the only thing we really need is the setup file here. You can see how big it is here, but I would just put it all in there and take care of all of it, just so that to make sure that we have everything we need when we go to the following computer. Once this process is complete, then you can take this external drive and plug it into your computer, your machine, and then you should be able to just run this, open up the drive and run this from there in the same process as we showed before.